Good evening, Free Enterprise fans. I'm here in the booth today with the man, the myth, the marsupial, Possum Morpheus, for some fantastic Free Enterprise action. Possum, I got a question for you.
Yeah, what's up, Sorbius?
Who is your favorite hero?
My favorite hero is definitely Loki. I'm super happy to say also that the nerf to Prince Arthur is great, and I'm super happy Bugbear is removed and the game's in the correct. We're doing Free Enterprise.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hey, Sorbs. My favorite hero is Sid. I love me a Sid hero.
I'm more of a Palom man myself, but Sid is quite good, definitely. I see you've been playing some Storybook Brawl offline.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that.
You're not playing right now, are you?
Maybe. Let's focus on Free Enterprise, man. We got a good race. We have mikemike34 and we have Saradin doing battle. One of the more evenly matched races that we have in this tournament. The 40 seed versus the 41st seed. This is, like I said, about as close as it can get. And I am very happy to see at least one of these bonus objectives. Launch the Falcon. Oh, if this is a magma key somewhere and you still have to launch the Falcon, it's so annoying, and I am here for it.
It is the worst, especially when it's way up on the moon somewhere behind some obnoxious chain, and you spend the whole seed looking for it and just never find it.
Yeah, it's great. Maybe it'll be like demist at CPU holding the hook, and the rat tail turns into half of the forge. Hey, we can all hope, right?
That's a good one, Possum. That is a good one. What about King Queen Evelyn back there too? Somehow, triple required giant. Can we live the dream?
Well, it would feel like I'm in danger if that happened.
Speaking of danger, we didn't get either of our wishes. We have a Porum hero. It looks like.
No, I don't see a hero actually. I see 5 objectives and a custom button and a new game button.
Well, that empty space your eyes refuse to process is Porum, Palom's sister. White mage, sort of. What are your thoughts on her as a hero?
Actually, I don't mind Porum as a hero. I know it's going to sound crazy coming from yours truly, but Porum can use a heroine robe. Porum can use an Artemis bow. Porum can use a power staff. Porum is actually better equipped to handle a whole lot of things than a lot of other heroes, and also gives you things like Cure 4, eventually, Blink, Berserk, Early Mute, lots of nice little abilities that Porum has. Plus, if you find a Palom, you have access to Twin, which is arguably her best ability.
Yeah, Twin is quite powerful early game. Starting with the Twins would be a really good start for our runners. Yeah, in this flag set specifically with no J items in shops, if you can't buy your white mage, you kind of need to have one in your party, and starting out with one is never a bad place to be.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Starting out with a white mage, it's not Rosa. Fine, whatever. It's like starting with Iridia. It's not Palom. Fine, whatever. It's like starting with a Yang. It's not an Edge. Fine, whatever. You can still get there. Well, speaking of that Rosa, hey, what about 2 white mages, a Golbez, a Lukaki? Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it. We have 2 sources of Eventual Wall, 2 sources of Cure 4, 2 sources of Blink and Berserk. It might not be fast, but it's going to be really safe.
Yeah, definitely. I am a big fan of the start, less a fan of that Golbez, and not super excited about that Lukaki. But having the 2 of them as our starting characters, we find a power staff, heroine robe, anything, we are in business.
Question for you, Sorbius. I am going straight to Watery Pass with this team. A lot of folks would go Ebling Castle. Where do you go?
Honestly, I think I would check Baron Inn, grab the few chests in there, check the Baron shop, and then probably go see what's in Mist Cave and then go to Watery Pass.
Well, looks like we have Cecil, shout out to the potential power couple, but that's a gauntlet, and that is icky.
Not the best gauntlet. It's got those cheating alligators and crocodiles that like to cheat on their ATB. We have Silent Staff, though, on Mike's side in Evelyn. That is a nice pickup.
And some monsters. So one thing I like to do with the monsters in Evelyn is actually peek which ones they are, because I want to know later on which ones can I Quake and which ones can I steal Bacchus wine from. It's a very interesting thing. It loses you a tiny bit of time up front, but it can gain you a lot of time in the long run. We see Saradin also coming down to Eblin, so we have two runners both liking this Eblin. We have a Lunar Staff and a Boreas. There's a Silent Staff, so a lot of good White Mage sticks, which is pretty convenient when you have two White Mages.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point about wanting to know where the chests are, with that Silent Staff, I want to find a Heron Robe, and I want to know where those Mad Ogres are, because that Silent Staff will tear them up.
Yeah, it's definitely true. The Mad Ogres being mages, because they're supposed to just run around casting Berserk, but for whatever reason they don't cast anything, you can just beat them to a pulp with a Silent Staff and someone who's fairly well equipped.
Would definitely need a little bit more defense and maybe a little more oomph behind it first, but that's something I would want to know where that particular chest is.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it looks like we have both runners doing some looting. Mike avoiding the monster chest that he found before, gets a strength ring that is not going to do any good for the current party, but maybe once Cecil comes on board, they'll be all set.
Yeah, that is a nice thing to have, knowing we have that Cecil waiting for us.
Now, if you're in Mike's shoes, since he is one tower up on checking things here, how deep do you dive this right tower in Castle Eblin? We find an archer bow. You still have two trap chests floating out there.
Probably the next good item I find, I'm out of here. I'm out of here with that hourglass, in fact.
Yeah, I was going to say that hourglass would have been it for me as well. But now we know where the Black Cats and the Lamia are, so that's interesting.
The one chest we probably don't want to do.
Certainly not. Not right now.
Maybe later with Charm. There's some fun things you can do with some of those monsters with the Charm spell.
Well, as somebody who ran solo Porum on Lollyho brackets, yeah, I can confirm that there are some shenanigans that you can do with those silly Black Cats. It looks like Mike says the Stardust item was good enough, and I don't disagree with that. Between that Stardust item and that Hourglass, I would be very content with getting out of here. That Hourglass opens up a world of opportunities for our runners as far as an instant grind of some sort is concerned.
Yeah, if we pick up a couple of decent characters, get maybe an early Magma Key, and we want to just go grab an egg real quick and use that power to absolutely destroy the overworlds. Potentially, if we get early Moon Access, go up there and take that hairdryer chest for a bunch of XP and chance at some decent loot. There's a lot of things we can do with that.
And there's also some other cheeky things you can do if you're feeling trapped chests and you really want to go hunting. You could do the hair dryers with the hourglass. You could use a star veil to reflect a magnet onto the last arm chest, and so you'd have two very good shots at tier 7 or tier 8 items for your Cecil. But oh baby, Saradin getting paid by looting the basement. That's a heroin robe, and that is the advantage early game. That puts Mike in a bad spot compared to Saradin. That heroin robe has so much value.
Yeah, he has the option to either make Porum very fast to slow everything down, or make Rosa really fast so Rosa takes a million turns, while also giving either one a ton of power.
I definitely agree with putting this on your hero for the overworld. Put them in the middle, get them back road, give them the biggest staff you got, which in this case is the Silent Staff, and just let them hit things.
Yeah, definitely. Let Porum hit things for sure. Well, we're about to find out who our other character is on Hobbs.
Well, that is one of my favorite characters on this flag set, and it's less about Rydia being so good and more about Leviathan being so good and so accessible.
Yeah, one of the interesting side effects of turning off J items in shops in this flag set is there's a lot more room for other tier 5 items to roll in those underworld item shops, and Leviathan Orb is one of those tier 5 items.
Yeah, Leviathan Orb will show up on average 2 out of 3 visits to Eblin Castle, or excuse me, Eblin Cave, and it has a fairly decent shot of showing up in any other underground or lunar shop as well, just based on the weight of how everything works. We'll see if we get the Stardust usage out of Saradin here as well, or if Saradin opts to just go for the more conventional turn the CPU Big Orb into a pincushion strat.
Yeah, I think with that Heroine Robe and having Porum and Rosa both back road, we're just going to bonk this Big Orb down. Save that Stardust for maybe a nastier fight on Ordeals or somewhere else.
Yeah, something like a Dark Imps even hanging out at back attack, which would otherwise be kind of awkward and slow. Stardust would make good use of, even if it's like an alt gauntlet or something like that. And we see the difference this Heroine Robe is making. Mike is nearly stuck in a remedy loop in the Antlion Cave. He's going to get out of this, but like that fight just illustrates, Saradin able to get through a CPU on Hobbs before Mike can get through Kainatsu and Antlion. That's really quite rough, and a spoon, while nice for either darting or adding to a key item count, is not progression in any way. So kind of an empty trip into Antlion for our runners, and we know that both of them are going to do this fairly early.
Yeah, they're both in the area. Looks like Saradin's going in there right now. The spoon, just a key item. I mean, at least it wasn't, a diamond helmet or a firebomb or something like that. It is at least a key item and not an absolute zonk. It's like Mike is probably heading over to the pool now. Oh, no, he hasn't done Hobbs yet.
Yeah, and if Mike has the Stardust item, which I believe he does, with his damage output, we're almost certain to see him use the Stardust here, because he's not going to have the Heroine Robe to really push through this. So I think that's going to be another big difference, is that Saradin's still going to be up that Stardust item.
Yeah, chipping away at that back orb, 30 and 50 HP at a time is not going to be very efficient. So we're probably going to start counting our damage, and once we get that back orb down to 700 or so health, throw that Stardust.
Yeah, and we can tell exactly how much it has when that remedy goes out on the Big Orb for 104. The easy way to do it is you just go ahead and, multiply it by 10. So that means that the Big Orb has 1,040. So need to deal about 350 damage, then be very safe to pop that Stardust, and probably through the fight, barring some sort of heroic low roll from the J item.
Oof, we're seeing that Heroine Robe, the lack of Heroine Robe, not doing great for Mike. Rydia and Porum both just completely whiffing on that healing orb without those extra multipliers.
Yeah, and I would have to just give a quick shout out to Mike for the naming convention here. Queen Puff Possum, I am honored.
I didn't know you were royalty, Possum.
Hey, every dumpster needs a king or a queen. There is the spoon for Saradin, and we see Mike continuing to chip away here. We've got about 300 damage in on the Big Orb. We could see that Stardust coming out very soon. Might just come out with Rydia, as Porum and Rydia both deciding that multipliers do matter, and they are refusing to hit things.
Yeah, Rydia is not particularly great at hitting things to begin with, but certainly at level 1 with no equipment, she is not great at it.
Yeah, it's going to be probably one roll at about 50% on a silent staff with about, 55, 60 attack on that silent staff. So we see the difference early on this Heroine Robe is making, as Saradin is already into the Fabul check, and Mike preserving that Stardust item, but paying the price time-wise right now. So we shall see how this develops as we go on.
Yeah, I mean, the fight is absolutely free, even for his team. It's just, like you said, it costs a lot of time to do it this way instead of just throwing that item.
Yeah, I think it's a very safe and measured play, as opposed to a gotta-go-fast play. Now, I will say, of all the fights that our runners could encounter, this one probably, with a plague here at an early spot, the Heroine Robe is going to make such a dramatic difference here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mike struggle with that fight a little bit when we get there.
I will say, though, if you run out of arrows, things get super awkward. This is probably a reset. Yeah, there it is for Saradin. That's a heads-up reset instead of wasting more time waiting to wipe. Meanwhile, Mike is through the CPU. We'll see if we get anything cheeky from Mike if he's been practicing his plague strats. Whereas Saradin can pretty much just go into this and kind of go nuts on this plague, assuming there are enough arrows. So might see a shop check as well for extra arrows here, which we are getting from Saradin.
Yeah, if we get some poison arrows, meat arrows, no arrows. I wouldn't hate picking up a headband, though.
I was about to say that. The headband is actually quite interesting. I would have picked up at least one, maybe not, or maybe even two of them. It's such a good piece of gear early on.
Yeah, between the two white mages bonking things and the Cecil we know we're going to get, probably going to want one for him.
Yeah, I mean, you can repurpose that headband later as well. It protects against charm, which could be helpful against like Magus Sisters or a Rude Wyvern.
I was going to say awkward Wyvern Witchburns for sure.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that can be good against it. Also helps against breath. Let's say our runners end up fighting something that does that. Blocking any part of breath blocks the whole thing.
It's a Sylph Summon for sale in Fabul that Mike just picked up.
Yeah, that's actually a big deal because he does not have that heroin rope, so he needs a source of damage that is, well, not a heroin rope. So Sylph is exactly, as Chad is pointing out, the equalizer that Mike is going to need. It won't have the long-term effects, but it's definitely going to keep him in the game early, and that is what he needs.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, if he can keep up using that Sylph for now, the difference between having that heroin robe and not is going to get a little bit smaller once we get that Cecil online, get underground, get a 5th character, start to get the spots that we can't just push down to never taking turns because we have a heroin robe. All those sorts of things will reduce, although certainly not eliminate, the difference that robe makes.
Are we happy or sad to see a hook here from the Fabul defense?
I am thrilled.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I always enjoy the magma key when it's a required hook route because of the launch the Falcon objective, but I'm also on board with the troll of just take this team of 3 young ladies trying to save the world and see if you can get through the hook route. And maybe that's Cecil and Baronin.
Almost certainly that's Cecil and Baronin before we're trying to hook route, I think.
Hey, it is the gauntlet, and this party is not gauntleting.
Well, I mean, the thing about that gauntlet is there's a lot of fish, and fish are not super keen on the lit spell, and we have 10 Thor Rages.
That is true.
There's a couple fights with those elect fish, but we have arrows to deal with them because they are, birds for reasons.
I mean, it's like Final Fantasy IX, right? Everything is a bird except birds. It all flies and it can all be killed. Also, with this hook coming out that both runners are going to have as Mike is about to get his, if Leviathan is here, that kind of mitigates the heroin robe advantage and kind of mitigates the Sylph purchase all in one. I still love the Sylph purchase on Mike's side, and obviously the heroin robe will continue paying dividends for Saradin, but a Leviathan there would kind of neutralize everything our runners have done so far.
Yeah, interesting choice by Saradin to loot Dampian with access to the hook route loot, but he's getting paid off. There's a lot of J items in there.
Yeah, Stardust, Gaiatron, Zeus Rage, yes. Where are those Dampian basements in my seats? My goodness.
Yeah, mine's always 100 gold, 200 gold, maybe a headband.
A heal potion.
A couple of Cure 2s,
Yeah. See people picking up rune axes and a bunch of good J items and all of that. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Looks like Bahamut is our waterfall boss, which is in some ways bad news. Bahamut is pretty much a free boss, and having that off the table going into a hook route doesn't feel super great.
It does mean you get to save on Veils, though.
That's true, although depending where Bahamut is, you may not even need one.
True. Oh, well, I'm happy. We got a coffin for Porum and an Odin summon for Rydia.
I almost guarantee that Odin summon is going into the shop and pulling out a Leviathan summon.
Yeah, as long as the Leviathan summon is available, you are 100% correct, Sorbius.
Or it's going into the other shop and pulling out a samurai bow.
Ooh,
double
so
elixirs.
2/3 of the time, Leviathan is going to be in that shop. Welcome to the 1 and 3, y'all. Oh, samurai arrows. That is
samurai
massive.
bow, though, unfortunately.
Well, but the arrows, even with just an archer bow, those samurai arrows are going to do a ton of work, especially for Saradin. That's, a momentous find. Really going to keep him going with that heroine robe that, again, Mike is not going to have, and that Leviathan equalizer is out since it's double elixir.
Yeah, Sylph is a little bit less powerful when you're fighting the boss at the Rubicon spot. Trying to do 20,000 points of damage, 1,200 at a time.
Yeah, definitely.
Got a black shirt here, though, for our radio, which is a nice pickup.
Solaris trying to go double vanilla on us. Yeah, that's a potential ruby or elements and an edge. Loving the edge here. That is really nice for our runners, especially with ninja swords hanging out in the shop.
We're quite a bit away from affording those, but edge is a fantastic pickup. Having access now to steal some items, punch our way through things.
I would find a way to buy 2 ninja swords yesterday. It would probably take me 3 minutes of inventory time, being a horrendously slow menuer, but I would find a way to scrounge up 132,000 to buy 2 ninja swords. Edge early on is that good to me.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Saradin, though, apparently does, not bothering to loot the back of Evelyn Cave before leaving.
Yeah,
I would have hit that cluster of chests there in the room, before the character, saved the save point there, tried to pick up some expensive items to sell.
That's fair. Saradin does, though, have that one advantage, and that is that heroine rope. So if ever there were a reason not to, I guess I can see that. I still kind of agree with you, but I can see it from Saradin's perspective as well.
Solaris joining the team over on Mike's side. You have to put yourself in Saradin's shoes, right? You got that heroine robe just chilling in Evelyn Castle. You have to assume your opponent has it, and that you are neck and neck. So you don't want to take that extra time to loot stuff to grab ninja swords if your opponent doesn't.
Yeah,
you have a middle sword, you got a boomerang. Your edge has some things to do at this point already.
Yeah, it just depends. Do you want him to do things, or do you want him to do things? Because with 2 ninja swords, as soon as you learn Berserk on Porum, the heroine robe, yes, it's good, but Edge just does more.
Edge definitely has a higher ceiling. It looks like Mike, though, is looting this little treasure section before leaving. Probably, like you were saying, thinking about buying a ninja sword or 2 on his way out.
But what about the Stalemen and stealing Earth Hammers to sell them?
That would be a bold play, I think. With the levels we have in this team.
You could hourglass them, then you could steal a bunch of Earth Hammers and then go buy your ninja swords. I'm not saying it's the right play, I'm just saying it's a play.
That brings up a good point. Not a lot of people know sort of all of Edge's more niche steal options. You obviously have pretty advanced and deep game knowledge here, but Mike may just not know that that's even an option.
I do wonder, though, if that's much more of a meme than it would ever be something that you would want to bring to fruition, even in this circumstance. Meanwhile, Saradin made such quick work of the Dark Elf, we barely got to see it change, and we really didn't get to see much of either side. And oh hey, why buy 2 ninja swords when you can just find one in the infirmary with a rune axe? What an infirmary, by the way.
Yeah, I generally don't like looting that if I don't know where the boss is, but if I know where the boss, the trap chest, if I know the trap chest is, I will definitely walk in there, and Mike might get paid out.
Hey, Sorbius.
Yeah.
take a look on the left-hand side of the screen and tell me why that's your favorite boss in your favorite spot.
Well, the good news is we have Edge, who can throw things, and throwing things completely ignores Valvalis's evade shenanigans. Opting to use the spoon, though, which I feel might be a tad overkill with that Slumber Sword in our inventory.
Well, but Slumber Sword is only going to do about 1,400 damage at base level. So you're still going to have to find 1,600 more. I actually quite like the spoon dart here. I think that's very heads up from Saradin, unless you have other darts you can throw.
Yeah, well, to my point earlier, too, in his shoes, you have to feel like you're probably neck and neck with your opponent, because there's not been a lot of difficulty presented on this overworld. So, throwing that spoon to save time versus throwing the Slumber Sword and then both of your short swords and then aiming once to finish the fight instead.
Oh, who needs elixirs from Eblin when you can just get one on ordeals?
That's a good reward.
Silent staff. Silent staff.
I think Porum is already wearing it. Oh no, she's not. I believe it's on Rosa.
Ooh. This is interesting. If these guards don't get one shot and Porum gets sized, he gets the charm off, and the guard decides that it doesn't want to play here anymore and goes to a different sandbox. And gets the other charm. So the guards are going to play in a different sandbox, and Saradin is through what could be a very rude fight. But I'm not going to say got away with one, though, but we got to see charm strats on the guards. That was neat.
Yeah, and on the other side, Mike making easy work of this gauntlet with Edge in tow.
Yeah, I mean, it makes flame.
Yeah, we were wondering what our AoE solution was going to be, and, well, we picked him up on the hook route.
Yeah, so we have Edge as our black mage, Iridia is our healer, Porum is our DPS. Yeah, I mean, this is a totally normal for Enterprise Seed.
Yeah, this makes total sense. This is exactly how everyone plays this game all the time.
Oh, right, we're being sarcastic again. Meanwhile, Saradin is done with Mount Ordeals. Mike making good work of these random encounters. However, this is where it can start to get fun. What is in this second fight, and how rude is it? Because there are still things that could present this party problems. It's unlikely, but it's possible. There's that Thor Rage you were talking about being useful on some of those fishies.
Yeah, the ones that aren't the flying fish, or not the electric fish, are actually weak to lightning, so Thor Rage will take them out. Let's see what we got here. Looks like the other flavor of guards.
But no MP for flame.
We have a coffin, though, which we could use to kill the officer.
Interestingly, opting to hit the back officer here instead of the soldiers, but we do have Berserk on Rosa going into Baron Inn. Those are words you don't often say, because she learns Berserk relatively late, especially not having done ordeals, but this gauntlet gives so much XP that Rosa now has Berserk.
Yeah, that's a good place to be in now, going into the hook route with a Cecil and Edge and Berserk on both of your white mages.
Yeah, now one thing about this, though, is who goes and does the thing? And the thing is Eblin Castle. Because with this party, okay, just kidding, we're not doing Eblin Castle. We're taking the Earth Crystal and we're going to play with the treasure. So forget I said anything, chat.
Yeah, this is a perfect time to pick up the Earth Crystal.
Yeah, this is go try to find a shiny sword for the guy you just got in the Baron Inn, because there's a 1% chance in every treasure chest that you could find a crystal sword or an Excal. There's also decent chances at things like Avengers, defense swords. You could also even potentially find things like power shirts, Zeus gauntlets, Murasames, Masamunes, Bahamut summons. All of the nice shiny stuff that they try to not let you have in these seeds can all be here for your liking.
Yeah, the treasury in the previous tournament was capped at tier 6, but that is not a flag that's on in this one. So these treasury chests can be very, very valuable. It'll be interesting to see if we go up Zot. I absolutely would be going up Zot after looting this treasury. It'll be interesting to see what Mike does.
Well, he's got 2 ninja swords and Berserk, so... sorry, 3 ninja swords and Berserk. So I think I would go up Zot. And even though your Cecil is not a paladin, you're already here, and there's very few things that can possibly stop you just rolling up there, basically on the back of Edge.
Yeah, and as much as, you were saying Rydia is pretty good on this flag set, I would not hate swapping her out for a Kane or even a Yong, and then not having to worry about doing any kind of huge grind and just picking up my XP from doing some moon bosses, maybe some behemoths, and just sort of, or sirens actually, since we have this Edge.
Looks like we're going to get a play on the doggo here. We do not have a way to change our inventory because we're full, and Edge is not going to one-shot. Rydia is down. Still going to get through this, but this is not how Mike wanted this fight to go, and he's going to get bonus inventory boss after this fight for whatever item he gets, unless it's a duplicate.
Yeah, the treasury betraying him a little bit and giving him exactly enough items to fill his inventory without triggering the inventory boss down there.
But what about 4th ninja sword? And here I am talking about the merits of buying ninja swords.
Mike also didn't throw anything in the chest, so he's still going to have problems putting a second ninja sword on that Edge.
Yeah, he might just need to hit the sort button or slap some gear on some characters. Not sure what he's going to do, but I'm sure he'll rectify that. Meanwhile, Saradin got his Earth Crystal as well and is giving us a peek at the Mist Cave, and that is the Dark Imps, which, they're there. And I guess that's good, but probably bad because it's a free boss.
Well, again, we've now seen 2 free bosses at free spots. We're running out of free bosses to be at spots that we need. Actually, we've seen 4 free bosses already in this overworld. Both pairs of guards, Dimps, and Bahamut.
1 free boss for every ninja sword that Mike has looted.
Indeed. It'll be interesting to see if some of this moon is required and how nasty that moon might be with all these free bosses off the table.
Or how nasty this first spot could be. Nope, that's just a water hag.
Good thing, the gauntlet here, not the hardest gauntlet, but it can be a little annoying, as one of the fights in the middle is a pile of slimes that you can only hurt with magic.
Yeah, which we have Edge for, because he's our black mage.
Yeah, not really much of a problem for Mike with some J items and some black mages, but that can definitely be an issue if you run into the gauntlet here trying to do a low-level Zot with Sid and pour him in a dream or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's something that you can definitely do and get aggressive, but this is very controlled aggression, because that Edge with 2 ninja swords getting berserked, there's almost nothing that stops you. Meanwhile, Saradin did a lot of inventory maintenance, selling a bunch of stuff off before coming here to the treasury, so is not going to be met by the inventory boss. There is that Gungnir Spear, there was the Tiara that was picked up, so some stuff that could be good for future or current party members, but without that Leviathan summon, the Tiara loses a little bit of value. There's a Tella and a Sparkle, so Dwarf Castle Spot 2, potential Wyvern, and the Old Man, do you take him now, or do you put him in Mysidia and wait until later?
It's a tough question. I mean, we're pretty happy with the party we have. We have the ability to steal sirens as is. And this is just the dupe Edge. So yeah, we're either taking this Tella for Rydia or we're not taking it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. we have Mike naming Tella no, and also not taking no because he has the Edge in the party. I do agree with this, I would say. I don't think that you need that. Now, Saradin going down the hook route without checking Azat. This is a little interesting to me, because we don't have the normal impetus to go underground. We don't have a tower key. We don't have a pan. So an early hook rush is, I mean, it's a very aggressive play, and I have no doubts that Saradin can get through this, but man, I would want to see what's going on in Zod.
Yeah, generally, if I have a hook route, I try to do everything that's available to me on the overworlds before taking that hook route. Because one, you might just find the magma key and not have to do it at all. And two, you know, like you said, we're looking for something to do once we get underground.
Yep.
You don't want to go underground and then just fly immediately back up to Zot.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fairly, fairly interesting divergence from the runners, and this is going to go a pretty long way in determining who is air quotes ahead early on. We know that Saradin had the early advantage from the heroin rope, but if this Tower of Zot has something, and that something could even be a Masamune, or a second heroin rope, or a Leviathan summon, anything that makes the hook route easier. Not to mention it could be magma or darkness, as Chad is pointing out. It could be a twin harp. It could be a lot of things.
Even something like the pan, saving him all that time going back and forth. It's a white spear, a little bit less on that list. It's a good dart, but with no cane in sight, that's not quite as much of a payout.
Yeah, definitely not what you want, especially when the King Queen Eblin spot is absolutely free, since there are no magic stats here at all. So the wave is going to do 25% damage if it hits, and then the ice tubes are going to do 100 tops. So this is a free fight, and not much to worry about here.
Yeah, punchy spot, but not a punchy boss, even a little bit.
Yeah, meanwhile,
content to just sort of flop around, I guess.
And flop it will for 114 damage, flopping on Rosa. That's not going to do much at all. Meanwhile, Mike was yet to do ordeals, so going to be very thorough in his clear of the overworld, while Saradin again deciding not to do Zod and going to just gun it underground and see what awaits him there.
Yeah, I think with the Dark Knight Cecil in tow, we're definitely doing this ordeals before we go underground.
Now, in this case, with exactly this edge the way he's set up, I probably would not do Eblin Castle, but I do wonder if that could weigh in the back of either runner's mind as something that do before diving the hook, looking for a shiny sword or looking for something else.
Well, especially since, much like that heroin robe, there was an hourglass just hanging out in Eblin Castle earlier, and one in the treasury, which they both have to assume they both have. I mean, that makes two of those chests instantly free, and that silent staff makes the Mad Ogre chest completely free. Not to mention the charm arrows.
Yeah, that's true. Those charm arrows can do work as well on the giants. But here we go. We're going to get to see, first of all, what Mike opts to do. And, oh, he has a lot of darts to throw. Is that a ninja sword getting darted, though?
Ninja sword or a ninja star? They were both in the treasury.
Yeah, the ninja sword won't get darted for much. Yeah, that was a ninja sword. Sadly, those do about what a slumber sword does, which is awkward to think about. But they both have 55 attack. The reason ninja swords are so good, though, is Edge can use two.
Yeah, I think we're probably just going to throw those ninja stars. No, we're throwing the other ninja sword again.
Yeah, that's something for folks who may not be familiar with the formula on how dart works. It is strictly based off the level of edge and the attack power of the weapon. So that's why things like ninja swords aren't as good as ninja stars, or drain spears, which have 88 attack, or a white spear, which has 109. So we'll see. Maybe Mike is saying, I want to save all my big darts for the hook boss.
Yeah, I mean, I would be thinking I want to save those ninja swords to sell later and maybe get Cecil some gear once we're underground. That's where my head's at. You'd be throwing away 30,000 gold at a time with those ninja swords.
Definitely true as well, and this is going to be interesting. This second form of elements is the scary part. This is where you get the Fire 2, the Fire 3, and the Glare. And you're going to need to push, what, 5,000 damage here? In order to get through this next phase?
Fire 2 not too scary, but that Fire 3 and that Glare, they're going to do enough.
Yeah, my fear here is that the mages all die to this Fire 3. And the mages are all dead. Oh, no, Rydia lived. That is very important, except the Glare is coming out, and, no. Yep, that's not going to do it. So this is the really scary thing. Edge getting cursed also did not help, because that just decimates his stats. But that second form, unless you have a Mute Knife or an Ice Claw, this could be really awkward for Saradin.
Yeah, this is a chance for mikemike to catch up quite a bit.
Definitely. And thank you, Free Enterprise, for the raid. Welcome on in, Raiders. No spoilers from the race that y'all were watching, but we will spoil a little bit of this race for you. We have, as you can tell on mikemike's screen, a Porum hero, if you can call it that. We have the Tower of Zot, which has currently been faded by Saradin. All it gave was a white spear, though, so looking to be a good fade. We have a team of Cecil, Edge, Rydia, Rosa, and Porum. And there was a heroine robe in Eblin Castle that Saradin got, and mikemike did not, as part of their diverging loot routes. So early game advantage has been to Saradin, but it's not by a lot. And mikemike is going to be closing the gap based on the extra XP he has, and the current issues that Saradin is having with this very rude element at Ruby.
Not to mention more ninja swords than you can shake a stick at.
Also true. 4 looted ninja swords, y'all.
Yeah, I think this is, as you were saying, the point where mikemike is either doing those Eblin trap chests or he is not. Edge getting cursed again. That is not what you want to see.
No, that is a 1 in 5 followed by a 1 in 5. That's a 4% outcome on Saradin's side. It literally couldn't get worse for him, and he's run beautifully up to this point, but board AI is strong with this elements.
Looks like mikemike deciding to wrap up some overworld stuff before going underground, checking the Mist Cave.
Yeah, again, mikemike has been very thorough. Not as fast, but very thorough, and that thoroughness may pay dividends if he's able to get, close to Saradin on the way down this hook route, and have that Zot check in his back pocket that Saradin may opt to go back to anyway at a later date.
Yeah, definitely. On Saradin's side, I think a better solution to this fight might be using a Star Veil and reflecting curative spells onto this Mylon form. Because the damage coming out of this Mylon form is certainly not impressive.
Yeah, the scary part about that, though, is where is that reflected damage coming from? Like, you're reflecting Cure 2s? That takes 12 and a half years. I mean, it's probably, yes, better than wiping, but I like this approach, trying to get darts out. The problem with this is that spoon that was used, which, I thought was a great usage at the time. That spoon would be really handy right now.
And mikemike has it in his inventory still, which may prove the difference on the two of them getting through this fight.
Yeah, and this is rough. There's... There goes the glare again, and the second wipe. I know that there's a rune axe on mikemike's side for Cecil. With that ruby phase of elements being mage weak, that would be a huge deal for mikemike, being able to have access to mage mashing. No one has found an ice claw at all, so our runners are equal in that regard. But this could be, as we've kind of alluded to, mikemike's chance to catch up here And with how unlucky, Saradin is getting on this fight, combined with how difficult it is for this party comp, Mike could come out of this hook route ahead, which would be, very surprising given the routing so far.
Yeah, his Cecil is still level 1, so maybe not hitting quite as hard as you'd want with that Rune Axe, but, any damage is good damage, right?
And maybe opting for a Mad Ogre fight, getting prepped for it.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Like, if nothing else, Cecil will get slingshot off of that. It's, 9,480 XP or something that he'll get twice. So it'll be...
I think it's 11,000 from the 4 Mad Ogres.
Oh, is it? Okay. Oh, I'm thinking of the Eblin Castle ones. Right.
So yeah, 20,000 XP on that Cecil will get him into his 20s, which is a much better place for him to be.
Yeah, especially with that Rune Axe. A couple hits and he would bypass that Ruby phase. The other thing that Mike might be able to do here is if he saves that spoon, as soon as he gets into that Ruby phase, he can just dart the spoon and either kill it outright or bypass it, at which point, that would be huge for him.
I mean, that's the fight. Once you get through that Ruby phase, you're just done. Interesting, too, that I think Vanilla Ruby would have been an easier fight in this spot than Elements.
Far easier, because you would then be able to lean into Dart, you'd be able to lean into cover strats. There's a lot of things that this party would be really good against, and Ruby would be one of them. Elements is not. This is just not the fight for it with the gear that Saradin has. But that was big damage from that dart, so maybe we can get a cure onto Edge and he can survive this glare that's coming up. I think he'll be just strong enough.
Cure out. Yeah, Cecil and Edge might live. I don't know what Cecil's equipment looks like.
Cecil's dead. Okay, so Edge is alive. So, can Edge get through this and then survive? No, he can't. That's tragic. It's so close. It was one dart away.
So, if you're in Saradin's shoes right now, Possum, what are you thinking?
I'm probably thinking, I wish I had an Ice Claw. I wish I had Mage Mashing. I'm probably going to seek out some Mad Ogres. I wish I had the Spoon back. Like, again, at the time, I thought the Spoon was a very heads-up dart to get through Val at back attack. Turns out that Spoon would have been really handy right here. But I think Saradin might be going into shopping percent and might be trying to find a Mute Knife, might be trying to find a Rune Axe, might be trying to find an Ice Claw.
Yeah, even just trying to find some HP and some levels off of those Mad Ogres.
We have...
We're leaving. Maybe Saradin going to Eblin Castle now.
Now, did we take the crystal armor off Cecil? We did not on Mike's side, so great idea in practice, but without the ability to berserk him, this is going to be a little bit, not quite the fight that Mike was hoping for.
Yeah, I think he had the crystal armor on, planning for some sort of fight where cover strats are going to be very important. And I don't think that's quite the fight that we have.
No, we'll see what happens with the darts, the attacks, and things like that. Rosa taking a 4 damage. There is the big bad guy. Let's see. This is probably... Yep, hunting the spoon. Darting the spoon. We meanwhile have Saradin going up the Tower of Zot. There's the spoon, there's 7,000 damage, there's the form transition. Mike.
There. Mike is through, yeah.
Yeah. The classic tortoise and the hare. And the hare has caught up, and now the Zerk comes out onto Edge. And this is huge for Mike. So that early heroin robe advantage has been 100% negated at this point. The Val form could pose some minor problems, but I think this damage from Edge is just too much.
Yeah, Edge also pretty fast compared to Porum, so he is taking a lot of turns.
Definitely true, especially a Porum without a heroin rope.
Yeah, interesting to think that not having the heroin rope for Mike might have made this fight a little bit easier.
Yeah, I think it does, because Edge is going to be, if not RA1, certainly RA2.
Well, and Rosa and Rydia get to actually take turns.
Also true.
That's still also paying off.
Yeah, and there's the crumble. So Mike, you're going to be underground right around, what, the 47.5, 48-minute mark.
Yeah, very respectable time getting underground.
Yeah, given that this was a Porum Rosa start, hook route, Zot to do up on the overworld, and not the easiest of fights. Yeah, with a Gauntlet and Baron in as well. Like, that's good time to get through, and that was with him being very thorough and not rushing anything. So taking that tried and true approach, and it definitely is paying off for Mike here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think usually if you're down a game in a series, you're the one that wants to take risks because you're trying to make plays and get through the seed faster. But by the same token, if you're up a game, maybe you take some risks and try and take some gambles and just really close out this last game really quick, which I think is what Saradin is thinking on his side. And Mike thinking, I'm just going to play my game, and if it's good enough, it's good enough. And it so far seems to be good enough.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about their last race, and Saradin comes into this with the 1-0 lead, but in their last race, Mike was actually the first runner into go mode and the first runner to Zeromas. And things kind of went topsy-turvy from there. And I hope this is not spoilers and the commentator gets the newspaper here, but it's one of those things where Mike may just be confident in his play style in this matchup and say, just because it didn't work that one time doesn't mean it's not the right approach.
Right, yeah, not being results-oriented is definitely the way to think about free enterprise. Just because something did or didn't work one time or last time doesn't mean it will or won't work this time.
Right. And of course we know there's a crystal sword in Castle Eblin that neither runner has gotten, so I'm glad that that's balancing out at least.
Well, there's always Schrodinger's crystal sword there, right? It exists in one of the trap chests until you open it. So
this is double Sparkle Dwarf Castle, Sorbius.
Yeah, that's a lot of moon. There's a lot of moon on this Earth. The Earth so far has been free bosses and moon bosses.
Yes, a strange dichotomy indeed.
Which fan favorite antlion is probably on the moon, given how much moon is on Earth.
I hope so. Also, interesting to see Dark coming out here from Edge and not what I would have considered here, which is to just go Flame. Saradin is through Earth Crystal, though Tower of Zod gets his White Spear. We're going to have Porum zerking up. We're going to have a Zeus Rage come out. This could get a little scary.
Yeah, the magic attack of this spot is no joke.
No. Ooh, yeah, 400 damage is not worth a Zerk here. That's scary. Whee! That's 1,500. Yeah, you don't have the health to survive that. This is probably going to be a reset sooner than later. Maybe Mike is going to try to get through this. But I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe if the front Lunar's down.
I think you just have to dart here and pray. And I think that's what Mike is going for.
Opting for the Ninja Star over the White Spear, though, I think I would have just gone for broke.
I think we need this hit from Porum to kill.
Come on, Porum, you got this.
Or you don't got this.
You don't got this. Oh, no.
All right, so we're going to go into the next fight with 2 people at 1 health.
This is peak free enterprise right here.
This is wild. Yeah, going into a Lunar Sparkle, by the way. If this is Ogopogo, you're dead. If this is Wyvern with literally anything, you're dead. Let's see what happens. Maybe it's Pale Dim and somehow you're not dead. I don't know.
Now,
Maybe you
the
take
magic
Sid.
attack at this spot is not phenomenal.
You take Sid over Ringo.
Ogopogo might miss both his waves. You're ditching Cecil.
He's taking Sid over Cecil. He wants someone with health. He just wants someone to be able
Solid
to
choice, given the boss that's here.
That's bad attacks there. That's not great. How do we get through this?
I think we try to get Edge up and hope.
I don't know. Roses blinked.
Okay.
So it's going to buy a turn or not. And Rosa just flat out dodged because apparently she's a goddess and then died. A spirited effort, a very spirited effort, but maybe you want to go crack an egg or two and then come back for that when your Cecil has levels, more health, more cover ability. Maybe play safer on that D-Lunar fight as well and see if you're able to get through it there. And then Saradin also, meanwhile, going back down the hook route, going to take attempt number 3, I think, on the Elements fight, and we'll see if third time is a charm.
Yeah, chat saying Saradin found something for Cecil. I think we missed what that was watching that super hype fight on Mike's side. If someone wants to let us know what he found.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When I see two people with 1 health going into a fight, my eyes are glued there. So, there was a Masa that was found. So we did kind of speculate on that could be something that would be very nice. We were speculating from the Tower of Zot, but it came from Eplin Castle. So still nice.
Yeah, I like this take on the fight. Nope, we're Berserking Edge again.
Well, Berserking Edge is fine. Berserking Porum was an issue.
Yeah, Edge may have enough damage to get us through this.
Edge Zerk should do like nearly 2,000 damage at this point. Or exactly
2,000 damage, awesome.
I promise I've never played this before. This Blizzard is going to be particularly awkward though, because 3 fires and we're going to have Edge back at 1 health again for the next fight.
Yeah, we're gonna need Rosa to take a turn and get a Cure 2 or Porum.
So,
okay.
Do you get rid of Rydia here and pick up Sid?
Personally, yes.
Okay, just for the safety in the next fight? Or just in general?
For me, just in general. I have Edge, 2 White Mages, and that would be 3 Berserkers. I'm gonna steal Sirens, get my 2 White Mages to Cure 4, and just go Berserk on Zeromus.
It works for me.
Maybe steal some Bacchus, maybe not.
Well, Mr. 50-50 gets yeeted, and we're keeping the face down Rydia.
I also don't hate keeping Rydia. It's more of a preference thing, I think, than anything else. Just 2 White Mages in hands. I'm just already thinking Berserkers.
And speaking of Berserkers, that extra damage from the Masa, getting Saradin through that phase, that nasty Ruby phase of the Elements fight, he is also going to be underground fairly shortly.
Yeah, between the extra kick from the levels and the extra kick from that sword, getting just enough damage to slide on through that phase. Well, Pilgrim is down on Mike's side, so let's see what our reward is.
Well, first of all, our reward is not my favorite hand. The red hand is boring. I like ghost hands and blue hands and gray hands and things like that. The red hand, whatever. But the reward, I think I'm just hoping for like a Zeus Gauntlet for fun, because that'll stay kind of even between our 2 runners, as opposed to like the Darkness Crystal.
Darkness, half a forge. Something like that.
Pinktail for a crystal sword.
Looks like we got an elfin bow. Okay, well, you got your wish, Possum.
No, I actually wanted something better than that for our runners, I'm not going to lie. That was pretty rude.
Hey, it could have been a firebomb.
Also, does that leave us Ogopogo and Wyvern as our two sparkles left?
By my count, yeah, that's all we got for lunar bosses.
Neat. I think we're about to get some sirens here that are going to be stolen, and the question is, not are sirens going to get stolen? How many sirens are going to get stolen?
That is a good question. We did see a sparkle on top of tower also.
That's true.
So I'm wondering if we're going to steal 30 sirens or 20 sirens and do them and just storm up there.
Yeah, this might be the old 30 sirens in a dream, or it might just be let's steal like 15 of them, do 5 of them now, and save the other 10 for 10 key items. Meanwhile, though, Saradin is through the hook route, is stopping immediately in the tower area, and so we might be seeing dueling sneak grinds going on here for sirens.
Yeah, I like this play from Saradin. We come out of that hook route with a good amount of power. We know it's a sparkle. We know we want to peek it.
Yeah, and our runners are only at 4 key items. So this team, they all kind of want a lot of levels to do things. Or in Cecil's case, shining swords. I do just wonder, though, can you leverage Edge hard enough to just let him carry you to 10, or just let him carry you as a whole? It's a very interesting proposition that our runners are faced with. How far do you take this grind, and how much do you let Edge carry you?
Yeah, that Cecil does have a rune axe on Mike's side. If you put him in the middle slot, he can actually hit things, and he will do some damage with that axe. But
that's very true.
Between the two of them and 2 Berserk/Blink casters, I'm comfortable stealing a handful of sirens now. Maybe 15, do a couple of them, charge up this tower, see who it is. Even if it's Ogopogo at the top, you can get through that with Blinks and some Berserks.
Yeah, the fun fact about Ogopogo is he's weak to Berserk. Apparently all Canadian content does not like being punched in the face, which makes sense. Nobody really likes being punched in the face, and Ogopogo is no exception to that.
Yeah, true story. Every boss in this game is weak to both Berserk and Nuke.
Well, not every boss. In fact, Val in certain spots is immune to both.
That's fair.
But we've already seen her, so we don't got to worry about that. Now, one thing we did see here, and this is a tiny optimization, but it could pay off quite a bit. Mike opting to kill off all of his party members so he doesn't have to parry around. Whereas Saradin leaving people up, that would tell me that Saradin is probably not opting to steal nearly as many sirens as Mike is. Because I think if you're willing to go this deep into killing people, and he's at 22 sirens already, and he's still going. So I think from Mike, we are getting 30 sirens in a dream here.
Yeah, this is a strat that you popularized for the Sea Hero flag set on the ladder last season. Getting underground and buying 30 sirens as soon as you can and just doing them.
Yeah, and I don't know if I love it or hate it to be associated with it, but the one thing I do know is that it works. And there's something to be said for, oh, hey, it works. We might be getting a revive here on Porum, just so that we can get a Berserk cast. That way, no Berserk cast. There we go, though. So 26 sirens, that's still going to be, let me do some counting here, a lot. And I missed the item from both runners.
26 sirens gets you just about 800k XP, I believe.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, in technical terms, a lot. And I think with those double ninja swords, Mike not going to have a lot of problems killing these eggs.
I think in Saradin's case, they're going to be even easier. That coffin is used, but also having that masa to go with the Ninja Sword is going to make a big difference here. I don't know that this Edge can one-shot on Mike's side. I'm pretty sure it can on Saradin's side.
Looks like Mike looking for his coffin for the first one. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then maybe we'll try our luck on the second egg. I think Edge going into Cecil's turn will be just fine.
Yeah.
And then after a handful of these, Edge is going to start one-shotting them.
And we also see on Saradin's side, that was 2,368 damage already coming out of the Masa Edge. So it will be interesting to see what Mike's Edge can do and see if he's able to get those same results.
Yeah, Ninja, not quite the same oomph, but not bad. Cecil should be able to finish off that dragon.
Barely, but got it done. So the big reason why y'all just saw our runners do this is because sirens are not available in shops. So what our runners are faced with is you have a party that just, other than Edge, really needs their levels right now. Rydia is unfortunately without Leviathan available, but we also haven't checked all the shops, kind of a glorified potato right now. Porum is there to do what Rosa wants to do, except worse. And Rosa really doesn't do much other than cast Berserk and heal right now. So the problem is you have a bunch of characters that don't do anything for about 800,000 experience. That's why on Mike's side, I think you're going to see every single one of these sirens, but maybe one get used for XP, and then use that last one for a Silk Web. On Saradin's side, I think you're going to see enough for Cure 4 on Rosa, and then I think you're going to see Saradin move on and leverage into that Edge. And I think you're going to get two different versions of how this is going to play out from our runners based on how many sirens they stole alone.
Yeah, I mean, I think on Mike's side, this is very heads up. We only have 4 key items. And potentially, depending on how varied this King Queen Evelyn is, we're going to need a bunch of them. At least we're going to need both halves of the Forge. And we still need the Darkness Crystal. There's a lot of key items probably on this moon.
Yeah, and if not a lot on the moon directly, there's probably a decent amount that are chaining off of it. Also keep in mind, we have only launched the Falcon. We still need King Queen Evelyn. We still need Wyvern. Granted, it could be a top of tower. We still need Value Cave, and we still need Forge. There's no guarantee this is a quick go mode. But oddly enough, even if it is, this grind still pays off. And to answer a question from chat, a spoon does still count as a key item even if darted. It counts as being acquired, and that's all that is needed.
Yeah, fortunately, you don't have to hang on to all your key items. They do get consumed when you trigger the particular story events in which they're involved. You just get credit for picking them up, and then you are counted as having them forever.
Imagine knowing about story events. Just watch things disappear from the inventory. They don't matter.
I think I've played nearly every version of this game that has been released. You have played through vanilla exactly once, sort of.
Exactly. So we see Saradin is going to be making a stop at Dwarf Castle. Probably going to be like, oh, hey, neat. This Elven Bow will be great for, well, that Elements fight that I had to deal with before, so that's kind of rude. That would be my initial thought anyway. It's kind of a little bit of a slap in the face. But I do like the grind from Saradin before taking on this Dwarf Castle. Also knowing that there's a sparkle from doing the Tower of Zot, it makes sense to route this in.
Yeah, it makes sense to do this before going up the tower because this may give you the tower key. And then you can save yourself a walk back if you get the tower key out of Dwarf. Of course, we know that's not what we're getting, but that's obviously not what Saradin's thinking.
Right. Now, the other thing we're going to get from Saradin's side is you will probably see a Berserk on Edge here, and he might just haul off and one-shot the remaining HP on these these D-Lunars. Oh, we're going to get the conservative route. We're going with offensive Cure 3. Okay. I think that was supposed to be an offensive Cure 3, but as expected, Saradin did stop at Cure 4 on Rosa, which is exactly where I think the prevailing wisdom on when to stop that grind would have been.
Yeah, between the Cure 4 and Edge, you're going to be able to get through pretty much anything you run into at this point, even up on the moon. But you are kind of committing to doing something else later, probably for experience. Versus Mike's strategy, which is get all of your experience out of the way right up front.
Yeah, and Mike's strategy is I want nuke, I want white, I want all the levels, and if I never get the gear, great, I'll still figure it out later because I still have all the levels, or I don't have to figure it out. It's one of those things, though, you put a lot of time into doing this. And this is, again, part of that tortoise and the hare thing we were talking about earlier, where Saradin has been playing hare and has been trying to go fast, and the seed has been fairly rude to him. Whereas Mike has played a very measured and calculated race and is continuing that. Very, non-nervous strategy, just going through, I'm not going to say going through the motions, because it's much better than that, but taking a very calculated approach to this.
Yeah, calculated, definitely a good word for how Mike is playing the seed. Just thorough and clean and just everything by the book, by the numbers, and efficient. As much as you can be anyway when you're doing, basically everything you have available to you.
Right. But we see already, both of our runners sitting there with 2,000 HP plus on their Cecils, lots of XP flowing around. But the big difference is going to start to happen in a couple of Sirens when you see white come out on Mike's side from Rosa and Porum, and especially once you see Nuke come out on this Rydia. That is when the big power spike is going to happen. And because of the advantage that he picked up on the hook route, by being thorough in the overworld and being able to get through things, he's only 8 Sirens away from completing this, while Saradin is getting back to check parity. So Mike's got about 2.5 to 3 minutes left on this grind, and is going to have all the levels in the world. So this is going to be a situation where Saradin's going to be ahead for now, but the longer this thing goes, Mike is going to be very much so ahead on power, or potential power.
Yeah, at this point, Saradin, I assume, is going back up to the top of the tower because we know there's a sparkle there. Oh no, we're going to get our freebie. Okay.
Check your freebies, check your objectives. We don't have any objectives to check, possibly.
Yeah, a 50-50 objective on top of the tower.
But we don't know that for sure. So,
I guess this could also, to my point previously, be the tower key.
Or it could also be something like a light sword, which would be really nice for Saradin right now. Or it could be a cursed ring, which could also be nice. There's a lot of things that could just show up in shops down here, show up for key item checks. It could be the darkness crystal. Or it could be a package, which is not what our runners want.
Yeah, I think with this party, the package is not very compelling. This is a solid party. We are not really looking for new applicants at this point.
I think... Well, wow, okay. I guess we're just going to have all of Mount Ordeals move to Feymarch. So, yeah, as Chad is pointing out, we have Mylon and friends. And shout out to Solaris for rolling, the Mylon and friends there. And to Lamia Harp for doing a fantastic job on the tracking so far. To our runners, Mike and Saradin putting on a great show for us while Mike is going down into the Luca cave now. And to you as well, Swords. What is this, your second time on Cobbs, and you are doing a bang-up job, my friend.
Hey, I learned from the best. Listening to you and Martin and everyone else that does comms. I guess it rubbed off a little bit.
I'm just going to have to check you right there. You said the best and then put Martin and I in there, and sir, that is laughable at best.
All right, looks like we're getting the heal up from Mike, which to me says he's going up the tower. Or Luca.
Either one would make sense. I think I would go tower first because of the sparkle. So Mike is doing the flying dance. That is the
fake
dance
out for us.
The dance of a man who's like, I have things I want to do, and there's so many of them, and I don't know where to go. And I have been there as recently as yesterday.
Yeah, that is not a great situation to feel like you're in a race. That moment of panic where you go, oh, I have 3 things to do, and any of them could be important, and I don't know which one, and I don't know where to go. What do you do, Possum, when you're in that situation to sort of figure out where you're going?
Usually fly to the wrong place first, and then go back and go to the right one. So it's probably not the right strategy.
I mean, that's usually my strategy too. But we have Mike and Saradin taking 2 different checks. We're about to find out which one sort of pays out, and it's not the Luca key.
Well, you say that. Could be Demist, could be Wyvern, could be King Queen Evelyn. We have 3 bosses still on the table here.
We also have quite a few boss spots left to check.
Well, if you ever wanted to take a Zansat Toucan for about 6,000 damage, that's your spot.
Yeah, again, that Sand Groupie not very appealing either, since we already have kind of the party we're looking for.
Yeah, it looks like Saradin gonna go play in Sylph Cave, fading the top of tower for right now. Maybe just thinking still, if it's Ogo, if it's Wyvern, I just don't want to deal with either of them right now. Let me go do my freebies, and this means that the only sparkle we have left has been well hidden by Solaris. Where has this Wyvern gone?
Your guess is as good as mine. I think as commentators and viewers, we really wanted at that CPU spot, or maybe behind this package that neither runner is ever going to check.
Look, as someone who has recently, and by recently I mean I think actually yesterday as well, not in a race seed, so don't worry about spoilers, y'all, had a Wyvern at the package via another route chain that we don't need to get into. Yeah, that's not fun. Wyvern at package is boo.
Yeah, there's this weird sort of roller coaster of emotions when you're in that situation, because you start checking all the logical checks, and you keep missing. And you know that it has to be at the next one, and your opponent already has it, and you've already lost. And then it's not. And eventually you get to the point where you go, oh, well, it has to be somewhere stupid then. And they haven't checked it either.
Yeah, that's kind of the roller coaster that you end up going through. But speaking of roller coasters, that was a roller coaster for Ogopogo with a splash at the bottom, a darkness crystal coming out of that splash, and that is moon access for Mike. So I would assume Saradin will be close behind here. That's still only 2 of our 5 objectives, assuming Cave Bahamut can be defeated right now.
I would say pretty confidently Mike will be able to get through whatever is there. Saradin with a few less levels may struggle a little bit to accomplish that.
Well, Saradin does have the advantage of the Masamune that Mike does not. So Mike's level advantage is slightly negated by that one sword. But as soon as Mike gets nuke, it kind of levels that playing field again, which last I saw he was at level 49 on Rydia.
Yeah, he pretty much just needs to get through that Cave Bahamut spot to get his nuke.
I do wonder if when we see Mike go here, we are not getting a Sheila 1 check. We are not getting a Feymarch freebie check. This could be very ambitious. We're not getting a Luca key check. I wonder if Mike is saying, I did all the levels, I'm going to go to the moon and do all the moon things.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're looking at your key item count. You have 5 key items, and you've basically cleared the Earth except for a handful of spots. You know there have to be key items on that moon.
It's true. I will say, to your point earlier, and you made this in reference to when runners are down a game or up a game, how do they play? What do they change? If Mike does just go straight moon here, I have to imagine that part of that is the situation. That you're just saying, I've committed all this time. I've decided to make this my grind, to put my tournament life on the line with this grind. Let's go to the moon and let's do this thing. Like that, I wonder if that's what's going on right now. Meanwhile, Saradin also hot on Mike's heels, getting that darkness crystal.
Yeah, Saradin though already knows that Luca is a Zonk, and has already done Dwarf Castle also. I think they just have Sheila 1 to turn in, and they are done with the overworld. At least what we have access to.
Yeah, unless that package has demist, and demist leads to like Twin Harp, which has Wyvern, or some ridiculous chain that results in like a hard required package. We know that the underground is largely a bust in this case.
Yeah, Earth in general, other than having the Falcon on it to launch, has not really provided much of anything in the way of objectives.
Yeah, we shall see. It's very interesting. The not turning in of Sheila 1 is especially interesting. The not picking up the Feymarch freebie. Totally behind fading Luca. But the freebies is surprising to me that Mike is so aggressively fading them. I love the aggression, but it's just very surprising to me.
Yeah, I think to your point about the grinds, you put all this time in, you did 25 sirens. It's not going to take you that long to clear the moon. So you can just do the whole thing, come back with whatever you find, chase that, and hopefully find yourself a go mode.
Yeah, and meanwhile, while you're trying to find yourself a go mode, how about you sit down and have a nice conversation with your doctor? Find out how you're doing, check your vitals, see if you got Cure 4, see if you got Nuke, see if you got all your summons, make sure that, Fatal doesn't get cast on you, and that it gets cast on Porum. All the things you normally discuss with your doctor.
Yeah, get exploded on by a giant robot, get lasered in the face. Typical doctor's office things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's an ICD-10 code for getting lasered in the face. I know there's one for subsequent encounter with a jet engine. I'd hate to be the person diagnosed with that ICD code.
That does not sound pleasant.
No, it doesn't.
However, this Dr. Luge fight is a very pleasant fight to find here. This is a nasty spot.
I mean, it's really not going to be that bad, though, again, and that's specifically because of the levels. It's just going to explode.
Well, specifically, I mean, Dr. Luge is not nasty, but this can be a very nasty spot. It's fairly fast. It punches really hard. You do not want to see Baigen here or Evil Wall. Dr. Luge, though, mostly just talks to you.
Yeah, and the thing about the gas counter is it's really not even going to be that bad for either one. One of the interesting things here, though, is you could go into this fight, in Saradin's case, take a Masa and a Thunderclaw and just tear through this second form. So it'd be interesting to see, because the laser could actually outright kill characters here. And we do have the Thunderclaw coming out on Mike's side. That's very heads up to do that as well.
Yeah, the first form of Balnab and the second form of Dr. Luge are both machines. Although, weirdly, the resurrected Balnab is not.
But the resurrected Balnab at the Twin Harp location has perfect magic defense, just like Val, for reasons unbeknownst to most people.
Nice. Pick up a Protect Ring, which is, it's not a crystal sword, but that's not bad.
I mean, it's pretty good for, I guess, Rosa, although she already has nearly 2,500 health, so maybe Edge?
I think it's a nice thing to have in your back pocket for that Cecil. If you run into something nasty that you need to cover, between the crystal armor and that Protect Ring, he is not going to care.
Very true.
And if you want your Rosa to absolutely not ever die in the Zeromus fight, you can give her that Protect Ring.
And that may be what it comes down to. We fully expect, or I mean, at least I expect Reflect Strats right now. from our runners. Maybe in Saradin's case, we don't see that because we might not get the XP for it. But on Mike's side, I think we almost certainly see Reflect Strats come out, or a hybrid at least.
Yeah, I would be thinking I'm going to throw whatever high tier darts I still have and then just nuke and white Zeromus to death.
True. And what about second edge? So edge on the hook route, edge on the moon.
Third edge and Zot too. This is actually edge number 3.
3 edges. That's a lot of edges for one seed, honestly.
And Saradin making quick work of Dr. Luge. We're going to quickly find out what our Marasami altar is, I believe.
Maybe. We'll see. Mike might fake you out.
Well, I think the thought process is we're going to have to go back to Earth anyway. So we're going to leave that Marasami spot and go dive the moon first.
Yeah, I think there's 2 different ways to look at it, but I think the big thing is there's no way you realistically get to go mode with just a Murasame altar here. If you had the pass, you'd obviously instantly dive. If you were only looking for like 1 key item or 1 boss, I could definitely get behind the Murasame check. But the fact that you're looking at all of these things that you need, the bottom of the moon makes a whole lot more sense.
Especially again with those levels Mike has, being able to pretty easily conquer any of these altars.
Yes. And meanwhile, Saradin is through, not that far behind Mike. Gets their protectoring as well. So both runners with objectives 5 and 2 on the table. Where is this Wyvern? Where is this King Queen Eblin? And where are all of our key items?
Yeah, we still haven't seen Sheila 1, but we've seen everything else we have open on Earth, and it was all nothing. Mike going straight to the ribbon room. I like this play. It's 2 checks. Could be Wyvern and both halves of Forge, but it's Dark Knight Cecil.
This is a nice one to have levels for.
Yeah, looks like both Edge and Cecil will just survive, and then you can life up Rydia for the XP.
Or
not.
I mean, you don't reset. You're a little unhappy with how it turned out, but you don't reset.
Yeah, Dark Knight Cecil's one of those bosses that can catch you off guard, and you know how to do the fight, but if you're not expecting it, it can definitely throw you off your game.
Well, the turn order also completely went south on Mike there. It went Edge into Cecil into Rydia, and then Porum, and then Rosa. It could not have been worse turn order.
Yeah, and I think even if you knew what was going on, you wouldn't have been able to parry over in time to someone that was going to live.
It does look like Legend Sword, though, and some Samurai Arrows. So, the Samurai Arrows, of course, or whatever. But it looks like Saradin is going to opt for the Murasame or Pale Dim spot. And oh, hey, Evil Wall at the White Spear altar. This guy just needs to get off the moon. It's so rude.
Yeah, this is one of those spots that you don't want to see this boss.
I think we're seeing a reset for Mike here, less because it's Evil Wall and more because I think he still has a Thunderclaw. And oh, there's the King Queen Eblin at the Murasame altar. That is huge for Saradin.
I think Mike is just looking for the required bosses, and he wanted the XP from the ribbon room. So he did that fight, but otherwise he is not going to fight anything, at least for now. That's not the bosses we're looking for.
That's fair. That's a very aggressive approach with what is still out there. I think you're kind of inclined to clear everything because you want to find that Forge as well. And you can beat everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think you clear everything, but I think you want to see what everything is first. That would be my instinct anyway.
That's fair, and you can definitely do that, so now you know that you have wall. you know that you're going to get Rydia to nuke off of this fight, which is probably pretty important for the Evil Wall as well. There's a crystal hat from the King Queen Eblin. That crystal hat's going to make cover strats nice for that Evil Wall and also this Mom Bomb.
Yeah, not a bad pickup, and doesn't have the negative that the crystal armor has of blocking Berserk.
Yeah, also true, though I don't think we're going to see a lot of Cecil Zerk here, given that our best weapon is a Rune Axe from mikemike, and I don't even know on Saradin's side, to be honest. A Slumber Sword?
I hope he's found something better than that, but it very well might be.
I just don't recall seeing anything good for Cecil.
Well, fortunately for Cecil, we don't need him to have anything, because even on mikemike's side, that edge is pounding Mom Bomb for 4K at a time.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to levels. Yeah, have a nice day to bosses, basically. It's not quite nuke on a stick, but it's a really strong virus on a stick. Mom Bomb not even going to show us their next form. No baby bombs, no explosion, which I love the sprite for. Just Mom Bomb dying as Mom Bomb. A full moon is probably not what mikemike wanted. Resetting, though, does he lose nuke off of that?
He does, but he knows he picks it up on the next fight at this point.
It's interesting, though, going back into that Evil Wall, I'm surprised not keeping the XP to get that nuke.
Well, I mean, the XP at the Oga spot was nerfed pretty badly for just killing the Mom Bomb. So I think mikemike knows that it doesn't really matter that the XP is nerfed there. It's going to be about the same that he got anyway. And he also knows, he doesn't want to walk it out and waste that time.
Fair.
We also still have Crystal Sword Altar to peek, and he also still has the Murasame Altar on top to do.
And to answer a question from chat, yes, both runners found a boomerang, and both of their edges are back road.
He does need to put some arrows on Rydia, though, to get that bonus from the Elven Bow.
And meanwhile, we have Saradin taking on the Evil Wall. It's a little awkward because that Cecil in the front row is going to take heaps of damage and is not going to cover the way you might want him to. Meanwhile, mikemike going back into this fight. So mikemike right now is up a D-Lunar check, or excuse me, a Ribbon Room check and an Ogo check, but down a Murasame check, as well as a couple peaks on the Earth. So still anybody's game here, especially with Saradin being up that King Queen Eblin from the Murasame altar.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect mikemike to fate that unless he finds a different route to go mode. Evil Wall being very kind and just knocking Rydia and Porum down to critical so they can be covered.
Which, with less levels, would be knocking them to dead. So I would say, again, the level's paying off here. mikemike may be last into this fight and may very well be first out as well.
Yeah, those whites are putting in some work. Not to mention the extra levels on his edge. His edge doing almost twice the damage of Saradin's edge, even with that Masamune.
Yeah, and that's the power of doing your grind and getting all of those levels. Again, you give up the time on the front end, but boy is mikemike making it up on the back end, and an 8,700 damage white almost from Porum there. That is going to be nuke again on Rydia, and we'll see if we keep the nuke this time. I think with the Pinktail, you're going to keep that. That could be a Masamune, that could be a White Shirt, it could be a Bahamut Summon, it could be a Crystal Sword, it could be an Avenger, it could be an Excalibur. Lots of really good stuff out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think keeping that has more to do with the short walk out than anything else. It's a bit of a longer walk back from that Ogopogo altar.
And here is something you don't like to see, unless you're a viewer. We are into crush phase on Saradin's side. I think he's going to be fine and get through this, but that fight got a little out of hand for Saradin.
Yeah, again, definitely seeing the difference those levels make. Not having access to white, really nerfing Saradin's damage in this fight.
Yeah, but he is through. We will have pink tail parity, and we are at 7 key items now on Saradin's side to the, I guess that is, 7 as well on Mike's side, since he has that legend sword. And there's our friend. Good old googly eyes on the moon. You'll love to see it.
He had to be somewhere. We were running out of Earth checks for him to be at. Although I guess he could have been our one boss that's fully on vacation.
I will say shout out to this Wyvern, though. Still hiding.
Yeah, hide and seek champion. So at this point, Wyvern is either on the Giant, the Twin Harp, the Package, or the Baron Key. Or the Tower Key.
Yeah, I was going to say, could be Super Cannon as well. But, so this fight is going to be awkward for Saradin. Party Order is going to play a huge deal here. I don't know that this Cure 3 fire, well, it certainly doesn't fire if Porum just falls over. So yeah, this is where, again, those levels paying off for Mike, and oh hey, what about a Lunar Twin Harp? Didn't I say Wyvern at Twin Harp earlier?
You did. You definitely did. It's weird, though. I'm not sure what you mean. The Harp's a terminal key item. That doesn't go anywhere, possible.
I mean, I wouldn't even go there, so I agree.
I think Mike is going to... Well, we're just going to heal up. I was going to say take a rest on the whale and then take a peek at that Myrrh altar, but I guess we're just going to heal up and go in without any MP, which is not going to punish him, but that certainly could have.
Well, I think the thing about this, though, is for Mike, he's coming off of this moon, and somehow, some way, the only item of progression he picked up is the Twin Harp. Which is just ludicrous to think about.
So let's see. We know where Package is. We know where Sand Ruby is. I think at this point, we have a long chain to that adamant. Oh, we have Sheila 1 that we don't know. That's true. We do have one other check we haven't looked at.
So we're going for the Sheila 1 2-hour in other half of Forge. Just for the memes, and both runners see it eventually and are like, oh my gosh, what have I done?
Yeah, that could certainly be. We could, go Twin Harp and a Baron Key into Tower Key into Rat Tail into the Pan, and then Sheila 1 has the Adamant. Plus side, the Sheila 2 would give you the pass, though, at that point.
That's true. And yeah, to recap everybody, Mike has faded the Luca check, the Feymarch freebie, and Sheila 1. Saradin checked the Feymarch freebie and the Luca check, but also faded Sheila 1. So we do not know the Sheila 1 outcome yet. We'll see eventually, maybe. We don't know.
That depends a lot on where that Wyvern's hiding.
Yeah, like if this Twin Harp has, let's say, a Wyvern and the other half of Forge, I guess we'll never know what Sheila has.
Well, in that case, Sheila has to have that massive chain to pass, I believe.
Unless Demist is hiding on the Giant, gating 5 things. But yeah,
I always wanted to be that long chain, and I'm always forgetting about something.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so much in this game to remember. But Mike, equaling the objective count, both runners now with objectives 2, 4, and 5, both runners needing just an Adamant Rock or to find Wyvern, and they will be in go mode. Neither runner somehow still anywhere close to 10 key items, both at 8. Mike long since done with his grind. He did 25 Sirens for experience. Saradin did roughly 10, I want to say, and saved, or got to Cure 4 on Rosa, and then decided I'll save the rest. We've seen a tale of 2 choices. The levels definitely help Mike get through the moon faster, but he faded a lot of things on Earth, and that has to be weighing on his mind right now.
Yeah, he just made a save up at Basidia. It looks like he's going to go peek the Luca key first before doing anything else.
I wonder if we get to see a multi-save scum here, where maybe he turns this Luca key in, pops back out, saves on a different slot. If this Luca key is garbage, he just runs away and then checks the Feymarch freebie, sets up Sheila 1, and just does it all with a series of save scums. But it looks like he's just going to run down while Saradin is blowing through this Mom Bomb and will be rewarded with, I don't think it matters, a full moon, if I remember right.
It was, in fact, a full moon.
Keeping the XP, though, which makes sense in Saradin's case because he is not fully grinded yet.
Yeah, he needs every bit of XP from this moon that he can scrape together. Unfortunately for him, 10 key items not available before doing the Ribbon Room, and the Ogopogo had split XP. Not a great moon experience-wise.
Yeah, and pretty rough because other than the King Queen Eblin, I mean, Mom Bomb not free, Evil Wall certainly not free, DKC not free. So, not the greatest, as you alluded to. Like, DKC is air quotes free, but not when your party's got 1,300 health and the waves do, well, less than that. Or almost as much as that, excuse me. So mikemike getting his Sand Ruby, probably going to peek the boss, find out it's Odin, and then reset because nobody has time for that. While Saradin is getting into his Antlion fight.
And I imagine in mikemike's position, I would immediately go to the Twin Harp. I have faded the Sheila 1 check. If that's the answer, my opponent's already done it and I've already lost. And since that hasn't happened, that can't be the answer.
Yeah, and you're calling it, and there it is. To the Twin Harp we go. Of course, yeah, as Solaris, our restreamer, is pointing out, both of our runners, whom you should follow, by the way, who are at least one of them about to give us music and the other one giving us googly eyes on the moon, both our runners, fading Sheila 1, still give them a follow because they're putting on a heck of a show for you. But that's something that we are definitely going to have to ask them about. Is that a meta thing, or is it something where they both just got caught up in the darkness crystal?
Yeah, it feels more intentional on mikemike's side, given that he also faded Luca. But it'll be interesting to see if Saradin just kind of forgot about it, or, like you said, just got caught up in that darkness crystal and the temptation of the moon. It would feel real bad for Saradin if that Sheila 1 check is a key item, because that would have given him 10 and a little more XP from a couple of these fights.
Yeah, it would have been, quite a few things that would have given Saradin some extra oomph to go after stuff. The Sand Ruby from Luca, if you wanted to deal with that Odin. But we shall see what happens. We have... I don't think we have Kamikaze, so I think mikemike's going to sit here unanchored and just be like, oh, will you please just go away already?
Once again, weirdly enough, not having that heroin robe kind of paying off for mikemike.
Yeah.
You go in here with 35 agility, that Dark Elf is going to take a long time to finish his script.
That is true. Meanwhile, we have Saradin plugging away at this antlion, and again, we see that that big difference that the levels are making. That Saradin just going to war with Lit 3s and viruses, whereas mikemike was going to war with nukes. And speaking of nukes, I'm going to take a nuke to the face if I don't shut up, I think. Because we got music, y'all.
Now let's find out what tunes DJ Spoony Barn is playing. Well, it wasn't quite Wyvern, but bonus round.
Yay, Twin Harp having a magma key and a demist. Yay, it's always got value. Yay.
We'll see in just a second if that demist is value or not.
We shall find out indeed. Meanwhile, Saradin also deciding it's time to harp.
I mean, at this point, if he's realized he faded Sheila 1, again, I think you're thinking, if that was the answer, my opponent would already be done.
Unless...
well...
they both had the same idea.
Well, sometimes great minds think alike, right?
Meanwhile, Mike's still looking at his tracker. 9 key items, wondering, what in the world do we do? Thankfully for Mike, he doesn't have the package from the Fey March, so he doesn't have to worry about the package stopping his entry from the left-hand side here. And there's a pass. I mean, that's neat.
So,
but that also means...
bad news.
That also means that Sheila 1 leads into, let's see, the Baron key, the Tower key, the Rat Tail, the Pan, and the Adamant. Yep. Literally everything is behind Sheila 1. Yeah, I mean, Mike has to be thinking at this point, what have I done? Saradin, in roughly, I don't know, 3 minutes, is also going to be thinking, oh no, what have I done? And here we are. We're basically even Steven again.
Yeah, once again, despite massive divergence, these runners finding a way to get back to parity and keeping this a very exciting race.
And speaking of exciting, I don't want to take a second nuke to the face, so enjoy the bonus music, y'all. All right. Well, this is awkward. The stream skipped, and I have no idea what Mike got.
Yeah, I missed it too. I was going to ask you if that was on my end. Apparently not.
So
we'll find out in a minute.
Yeah, we have a mystery item, and based on this flight path, I think it must be the Baron key. I don't think we would go anywhere else in this direction, though I can't tell because the stream has decided to implode upon itself. It must be the Baron key based on where Mike is landing. So we are going to have Baron key into either Tower key, Rat Tail, or Pan, which is going to lead to some combination of those other items that eventually is going to end in the Adamant Rock. Unless, of course, we find Wyvern first, in which case that chain doesn't matter.
Yeah, Baron does have 2 unknown boss checks at this point, too, with access to the basement once we've liberated Baron.
I mean, at this point, though, like, Wyvern, for our runners, I guess kind of becomes an afterthought. I don't know. It's tough to say because in Mike's shoes, he's still faded the freebie in Feymarch, so he doesn't know about the package. He knows the Sand Ruby, both runners do. We have a Rosa at the package
Oh, yeah, this could be real bad for Mike if this is where Wyvern is.
So Saradin is taking the route of, I faded Sheila 1. I know at this point that literally everything is behind it. So Saradin is saying, I'm going for Wyvern. I'm not going for the Adamant. I lose if I go for the Adamant. So I think here we're also in Saradin's shoes. I think you will end up at this point getting a giant check after this, because I think that's the only way that Saradin can keep with this line and have it make sense. Meanwhile, Mike showing off some nice tech there, going with the Venom strats. So he will be able to avoid paralysis on all of his party members. The downside is you can't Zerk, but who really cares? The upside is you'll be able to still white and nuke and smack with weapons. So it'll be a quicker fight, even though it's still Golbez. Ha ha ha! It's super slow.
And again, weirdly enough, not having that heroin rope, saving Mike some time again in this fight.
Yeah.
This is not an especially fast spot, and Porum with plus 15 agility would really slow down this Golbez.
Now, speaking of places that are really slow, if there's a heroin robe on Porum here, even if this is a Wyvern, we are never going to have a chance at seeing what that Witchburn is in a million years.
Man, will that be disappointing.
But if this is Wyvern, I don't want to call GG, but I think that would be GG if Wyvern is here. It would be very difficult for Mike to come back from a package Wyvern. And it looks like we have a package Magus Sisters. So this is, in my estimation, gonna send Saradin back to the moon. Or not the moon, but moon adjacent on the Giant.
Yeah, I think if you're now tripling down on fading Sheila 1, you're looking for Wyvern, and you're going to check the spots that you think your opponent is not going to check because they're busy on this chain.
And here's the fun part about this. Man, even if it is 65,000 Wyvern or CPU Wyvern, that stinks.
That is not fun.
Second question, if it's Wyvern at CPU, have we seen Baigen by chance?
We have not seen Mr. Noodle Arms, and nor do we want to at most of the spots remaining in this seed.
I'm just saying, I've had a Baigen many times at the Elements spot, and boy howdy, does that stink.
Yeah, how do Arms with 6,000 health, give or take, strike you? How do you feel about that?
9,000. You cannot kill them with anything but Bahamut and Meteo. They cannot be max bluff quaked by Palom. Trust me, I've tried.
You certainly sound like the expert on that. Yeah, so we're going to see in just a second on Saradin's side who that is.
Second Tella, shoutouts to our runners for not doing a D-Machine grind of any sort. They have decided we're going to steal Sirens instead. Fun fact, after this Giant, if Saradin completes it, Sirens will not be needed, nor a D-Machine. Looks like on Mike's side, we're going to find out a key item soon, and that is going to be 65,000 health of Ruby, which is super slow.
It's not the worst, but yeah, this is not going to be very quick, because again, I don't think we've ever found an Ice Claw.
Nope, sure haven't. I think we might have Ice Arrows. So the only question here for Mike is it Tower Key, Pan, or Rat Tail? It's the Rat Tail. So then is the Rat Tail Pan or Tower Key?
Well, we do have an opportunity, though, to turn in this Pink Tail, too, though, while we're at it. Definitely checking the basement while we're here, which is very smart of Mike.
Yes, you got to say at this point, okay, maybe it's some sort of super duper rude Wyvern down here that my opponent couldn't get through, and maybe my levels will get me there and somehow I win this thing. Both runners got to be just thinking to themselves at this point, how's the other person not done?
Yeah, that would be what's going through my head. We have Wyvern.
Okay, so this is not good for Saradin in the throes of a ridiculously long fight with Ruby and Mike. The Baron Basement Wyvern And the crazy part about this is, if you'd have done Sheila 1, you'd end up with the Baron Key, you'd end up with Wyvern, you'd end up with the chain that gets you to the Adamant as well. You can truncate a lot of the experience on this seed. Do your freebies, y'all.
Yeah, you take nothing else away from this. Turn in Sheila 1. Mike, though, making real quick work of this Wyvern.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see this nuke cast might even do it. Yeah. It's not going to be long for this world. Mike is going to have objective number 1, defeat Wyvern on the board. He's going to get his crystal. Now, the only real question here is, do you take any other fights? Do you go steal a Silk Web? I don't remember him stealing a Silk Web yet.
No, he didn't do it yet. I think he was probably waiting to see if he found the Adamant and could save himself a trip. But personally, I would go steal that Silk Web if I'm trying for reflex strats, especially with 2 white casters and only a single nuker. But if we're going to do some hybrid strats in Berserking Cecil and Edge, it may not be quite as necessary.
Yeah, if it's hybrid, for sure, you're just going to go and do the thing and you don't need a Silk Web. But if you're doing Reflect, it gets a little bit scarier, but I kind of think Mike's just going to go here. I don't think at this time you can really take that time to get the Silk Web. And to answer a question from chat, Sheila 1 is when you just talk to Yang in the Sylph Cave, return to the wife in Fabul, and she will say, oh, he's underground. Here's a key item. In the vanilla game would be a pan. But enough about panning. What about pandering to the audience? The audience being a little slow on the uptake tonight. I guess they don't want it. There we go. I see some flags. Couple of them. Slowly trickling in. We have some Z flags. Sorbius. It's only 7 o'clock for me. I know it's a little later for you. This would be a decent nap time for me. But I don't think we're talking about naps.
No, Possum, we're talking about Zeromus, the final boss of Final Fantasy IV, who has a really complicated script, a ton of HP, a lot of nasty attacks, and would be really a pain to move around and randomize in our seed. So instead, he has a whole bunch of costumes. 450 some odd at this point, I believe. Scholar will probably correct us immediately in chat. But there's a question we usually ask right about now, if you want to do the honors, Possum.
Oh. Who's going to win the race?
Try again.
What's going to be the final time?
Which rump are we going to thump?
There we go. I see. Man, it's been a long week. I get up really early nowadays. It's tough. It's just tough. These questions are so...
Looks like we used a crystal with Edge, I assume. And a Starveil of Cecil queued up a white. Very shortly see who this Zeromus is.
Yeah, we're going to see who the Zeromus is while we're seeing who the Asura is. And yeah, that's an Asura that exists. It's going to punch really hard, y'all. Kablamo, 1944 to Rosa in the back row. That feels bad. Let's just ban it from the pool right now.
Pot O Greed Miss. I'm not familiar with the Yu-Gi-Oh card, although I do know that it does many things, potentially, none of which are what it actually do.
Yeah, so basically, we're just going to cheat, is what Pot of Greed does. And so Mike is going to counter cheat by reflecting spells. And what's going to happen is Zeromus' normal script, where you would have an HP reset at 61,000 health, or anywhere between 45,000 and 61,000. Mike is probably going to skip that. He's going to look to reflect all the damage here, and by reflecting, the script will not happen. And so Zeromus will not refill, and so you only have to deal 61,000 damage instead of 110 roughly. So Mike is going to cut this fight in half, and this is going to be pretty good for him. It looks like he is going to nerf, or at least try to get this nerf off. A little late, but it's still going to fire. Great counter nuke onto Cecil, and things are looking really good for Mike, while Saradin is completing the giant, not finding the value that he was looking for.
Yeah, that value being Wyvern, who was not there. And we get a Palom, who would have been nice a long time ago.
Yeah, so you only had to do the giant to get the best character for your mage team. Doesn't seem like a thing that was going to happen. Does Rydia live? Nope.
You joke about that, but she has insane growth to both of the magic stats. She very well could have taken 200 damage from that nerf Big Bang.
Oh, I know. She regularly ends up with, 55 to 60, both wisdom and willpower, and just gets insane magic defense rolls. So it would not have been surprising at all to see her live there. Taking 1076 on a nerf Big Bang for Rydia at nuke levels is actually obscenely high.
Yeah, I mean, the way the magic defense works, it's several dodge rolls, and she clearly just failed all of them.
She decided to face tank, and that's Cecil's job.
You don't want to cover strat that Big Bang.
You can try.
Not if you're Rydia, anyway. Should have lethal spells in the air here shortly.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm surprised we didn't get it on that last round of whites, given where we are for battle speed and order. Certainly, to your point, the lethal damage is in the air already, so this is going to be over very soon.
We have a shake, but those whites are going to come out before that fires.
At least one will.
Okay.
The elixir
frames here. So we're trying to follow the action here. Here we go.
This is PowerPointing on a bad Zoom call, and we're trying to fight through it. I think Mike is fighting through it. I think that nuke did it right there. I believe that is the shaking. Zeromus is down.
Zeromus is down.
GG to Mike, finishing this race in first place, leveling up the series. Our 40th seed, taking out our 41st seed in this race this evening with an official time of 1:59.02, sub 2. Let's see if we can get Mike in for an interview and ask about that Sheila 1 fade and other things.
Yeah, many other things. While we're waiting for Mike, it looks like Saradin is going on with this Baron check, figuring he's got to go through it now.
Yeah, I mean, Saradin knows. Saradin faded the Sheila 1 check just like Mike. The difference is Saradin also figured at that point, having checked everything else, I needed to make the play to the package. I needed to make the play to the giant. And that just wasn't going to do it in this particular seed. It was a great play, but not the right one in this seed. And I think we were briefly joined by Mike, who may have disappeared back from chat. We will try to get him back into the commentary booth and see what we can do here.
Yeah, in the meantime, we got Golbez taking out some of Saradin's characters. Not going to be a problem to get through this, just like Mike. He has more than enough levels to do, well, anything at this point after clearing that giant.
Yeah, zero doubts at all as far as Saradin being able to get through this Golbez, get through the dolls on the throne, get through the Wyvern in the barren basement. He'll definitely get through it. And speaking of getting through it, I think Mike has gotten through the wall of Discord and should be joining us. GG to you, Mike.
Thanks, Possum.
And our first,
GG's.
we can hear you. Our first question, it has to be asked. Sheila 1, your thoughts?
I felt like first I felt like I lost the race because of Sheila 1, because I forgot about Sheila 1. Whoops. I wanted the pan first, you see, and that saves about a minute and a half of walking. But you know, when you fade it that long, it can cost you a run. I can't believe I won.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway.
you made the play, and your play was, I'm going to fade the underground, basically, and everything associated with it once you got that darkness crystal. So you went up to the moon, you obliterated the moon based on your grind, which, I'm a huge fan of course.
30 sirens in a drink.
Exactly.
5 in this case.
So you went up to the moon, you go blow up the moon, you do all those things, you come back down, you go after the twin harp, you're routing all this in. At what point, did you start to feel nervous, or were you pretty confident in everything up to a certain point? And kind of take us through your mindset as the seed evolved.
Well, right about as I'm going to do Twin Harp, I'm looking at key items. Realize it's not possible all the key items to be behind Twin Harp. And so I'm trying to figure out what I faded, and I realized it was Sheila 1. Well, I figured at first I thought, okay, I just lost because I faded Sheila 1 and it's a huge chain. And then I thought, wait, if it's a huge chain, that means if Wyvern is anywhere but the very end of that chain, I'm going to pick up time on someone who ran it earlier. Plus, I'm destroying everything quick. Maybe I'm not as deep in the water as I thought I was.
Yeah, it's an interesting roller coaster, and it turns out not just you, but also Saradin. You both faded Sheila 1 forever and always.
What?
And so the difference became Saradin comes back down, does the twin harp, then does the package, looking for Wyvern, then does the giant looking for Wyvern. That was the big determining factor at the end, was
You must have
went
assumed
with...
that I did Sheila 1 also.
Yes, that's exactly what happened, is y'all both assumed that you both had done Sheila 1 when both of you faded it. It made for a phenomenal viewing experience, I have to let you know.
Wonderful. Oh, I'm glad to entertain. Did you like when both Possum and Solaris were alive with 1 HP?
Yeah, we were very excited for you to get through that. Sadly, it didn't work out. But we were pulling for
I wanted
you.
to survive, but it was not to be. Even took Sid, just so he can maybe help us survive.
Yeah, very heads up grabbing Sid there and hoping he could get through. Unfortunately, it was Pale Dim, and he was having none of that.
Right. Pale Dim must have his day. But although that affected the rest of my seed, because I assumed I was behind after that and went into like turbo drive. I didn't even use my last siren to get a silk web as planned because I assumed I had no time. I just assumed I had no time. The rest of the seed, I didn't equip things, I didn't buy things. I think I played Antline a lot better because I was panicked. I didn't berserk Edge. I just destroyed him with spells and darts. I went to his home and killed him. I felt kind of bad.
Well, the other big thing, and we kind of talked about this during the race itself, was those 25 sirens you did, where you decided, I'm going to get all of my levels, and wherever the chips fall, they fall. That allowed you to take what was basically, at the finish of your grind, a 2.5 minute disadvantage, and turn it into an advantage within about 1 or 2 moon fights. You also took a more measured, more calculated approach on the overworld. You did the Tower of Zot. You saved some good darts. You got some extra levels. And that allowed you to get through the hook route a lot easier, whereas your opponent, Saradin, actually bounced off of it, had to go back and do the Tower of Zot, and come back the second time. So your calculated approach actually did you a lot of justice in this seed. And you two are so evenly matched. It just made for a wonderful viewing experience. So I just wanted to compliment both of you.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with Saradin. You didn't see the first. It was our first match wasn't streamed, but he had a great race then as well, and it's fun to be really happy that I can do the tournament with someone around my skill level, and not like just get absolutely obliterated by a 1 through 8 seed, or really going against like 64 or 63 seed. We're like really close, so it's gonna make for a good game 3 tomorrow.
I can't wait.
Yeah, that leads into a question. What time tomorrow is game 3? Because I think everybody would like to know.
It's let's see, I believe it's 1 o'clock Eastern Standard. Don't know if we're gonna be broadcast or not, but it's tomorrow afternoon.
All right. Well, that'll be me getting up at 10 o'clock in the morning to watch some Free Enterprise, and I am A-okay with that.
Yeah, it should be a fantastic match. Yeah, Mike, you ran that excellently. Very, very impressive run. Congrats again on the win.
Thanks, Sawyers.
Yeah, GG's Mike. And any last thoughts, on the race? Anything you're going to change for game 3? The floor is yours. Say what you will, do what you will with it.
Well, I am not going to fade Sheila 1 for until hour 45 minutes. I promise. And although interestingly enough, last point before I go, the reason why I did 25 sirens right there is I was looking at my key items. I'm like, I hardly have any key items after all this. I must have zonked a ton. Everything's on the moon. That actually helped lead to the advantage. And I was going to ask, you said I was at 2.5 minute disadvantage. Did I get through the hook faster? Because I'm wondering where I got to 2.5 minute disadvantage after when I was doing the siren grind, or is that after the grind?
Yeah, so that was after the grind. You were ahead coming out of the hook route by a number of minutes. So after you had stolen all the sirens, which was double what Saradin stole, and done about 20 of them, or maybe 17 of them at that point, I think you had 8 sirens left when Saradin finished his mini grind to get Rosa to Cure 4. So Saradin was in the high 30s, and you were in the mid to high 40s at that point, closing in on Nuke and White. So you finished your grind about 2.5 minutes after Saradin's micro grind, or I guess medium level grind, and that allowed you to just kind of make up ground from there. So you gave back time after the hook, but then you made it up again. Really debated that. I normally would just go to Cure 4 like he did, but I was thinking that there's so much on the moon, I'm going to have to fight so much on the moon. I should just get ready to nuke, or really close to nuke, so that when I went to the moon, she would get it pretty quickly. Then hopefully that buys back any time if someone just went with Cure 4 Rosa.
Yeah, I thought that was probably your thought process, looking at that key item count, that, there had to be something on the moon. You're going to have to fight at least a handful of moon bosses. Yeah, very heads-up play. Thinking about, spending a few extra minutes on those sirens to save several minutes on each of those moon fights, and you did. You saved a couple minutes on each of those fights with those extra levels. Awesome. Well, thanks for everyone that's kind of helped me out throughout the tournament. The Pink Puff League, helping make sure, everything I learned helped me get into brackets, and things that people have helped with in the community have helped me even this game up and going to a game 3. So I appreciate everybody. Excellent. Well, GG again, Mike. It was a pleasure. So happy to get to do comms on one of your races. And I think we can't say it enough. We're all super looking forward to this game 3 tomorrow. Great. We'll try to continue where we left off today. All right, and that was Mike, our winner for this evening. Again, finishing at 1 hour 59 minutes and 2 seconds. Again, seed number 40 versus seed number 41 here. One of the closer matchups that you're going to find. We have a Adamant Rock Get
on Saradin's side. So Saradin now having access to the Forge shop, Zeus gauntlets, crystal rings, Stardust rods. That's a shop, y'all. So yeah, Saradin gearing up has not seen Wyvern, but has seen everything else. So committed to that chain, knowing at that point, Wyvern's probably somewhere on it, unless it's exactly the barren basement. And unfortunately for Saradin, it was exactly the barren basement. But we shall see Saradin going into the Zeromus fight soon as well.
Yeah, I think he got the Rat's Tail from Baron, and it wasn't Wyvern, and thought, well, Wyvern might be in the basement, but I know it's Rat Tail into Tower Key into the Adamant, or into the Pan into the Adamant. Even if Wyvern's down there, it's probably about the same amount of time to just turn in all those quick checks.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And here we go with the fantastic Silk Web sneak from the Centipede. Now, what would have been really fun was to just take random encounters on that little peninsula of power and go and get a Talantla and just sneak one more naturally than using a Siren.
Yeah, I believe both the encounters where you can sneak, though, are fairly uncommon.
Yeah, I think it's like encounter 4 and 7 or something like that, so yeah, definitely not.
Certainly good desperation strats, but I guess if you have edge, you can go steal a Siren anyway.
True. Might be taking a Siren or two here to get Nuke. Oh, there's Nuke right off the first one, so I think we're going to be seeing Saradin head over to the big bad final boss. Now having Nuke, White, all of the attack power you could ever want on edge. And I still have no idea what Saradin's Cecil is rocking for weapons, but I know he has a Zeus gauntlet.
He had a samurai arrows and an elven bow when he was in his inventory in Coal Shop. So,
well,
not exactly loaded for bear, but
I was gonna say shoutouts to Cecil for having gear and still out damaging Kane even with a white spear. If there was a Kane with a white spear.
How about Kane with a white spear and a Zeus gauntlet, though?
That might be close.
Looks like we're swapping some spells around real quick, making sure we got all our ducks in a row on Saradin's side.
Hey, I think
that is something I am bad at, is switching my spells around in my menu. And over the course of a seed, that can cost you an awful lot of time.
It, interestingly enough, would not cost Saradin that much time in the seed because he moved his Cure 4 up when he got it from doing the grind, moved his Berserk and his Blink up, I believe, as well, and didn't have Nuke on Rydia until right now, so I don't actually think he had to do it more than one time until this very end right here.
All right, heading back to round 2 with
yeah, gonna get Saradin, who has given us the full experience on this seed. If I'm not mistaken, Saradin has left no stone unturned. We have seen every single check. I don't believe there's anything left.
We did put the Sand Ruby back, but we did touch it, so that counts.
Yeah, I believe every single thing has been covered by Saradin here, and still going to come in with a time just around 2 hours and 20 minutes. It's a really good time for full clearing an entire seed.
Especially including doing the giant and a package check.
Yes. And there is Saradin's Pot of Greed.
Yeah, starting right off with the white from Porum, white from Rosa, and a Nuke from Rydia. I think buying the Zeus gauntlets was just for show. I don't think we're berserking today.
Hopefully we do get to use that Silk Web to nerf.
I think we're waiting to come around to Edge's turn. Yep.
There we go. It shouldn't make too much of a difference, but you never know. There we go. White's coming out. I think that Silk Web's going to be queued and come out with more than enough time. I think Cecil's even going to get a swing in here. Fire off some arrows, deal a little bit of bonus damage.
Yeah, every little bit helps. There's our Silk Web and a counter nuke on.
That's actually the worst person.
Yeah, that's about the exact opposite of where you wanted, although Rydia dodging most of that.
Well, can she dodge more? Nope.
Yeah, Rydia not in the mood to dodge spells today.
Yeah, apparently Rydia has decided that napping is more fun than fighting against Pot of Greed. And at least, that's more parity between our runners, as both Rydias decided that they wanted nap time instead of play the game time.
I don't know if you've ever played XCOM, Possum, but there's sort of a meme that, 80% to hits 5% of the time. So you have your 80% chance to dodge there, and she just didn't.
Well, as someone who has played a lot of Hearthstone in his day, if you tell me there's a chance, I'm going to lose to it.
Alright, Elixir on Rydia. Saradin doesn't have the lethal spells in the air pre-shake, though, so this might get a little hairy.
That's what I was wondering about. Yep, there comes the unnerfed Big Bang. Porum almost certainly dies here. I think Rydia probably lives.
She's due some dodges,
Ooh, Edge, though, decided that he's not playing the game of life either.
I like getting Rydia back up, because those nukes come out much faster than White's.
Agreed. The elixir uses on Rydia. We're going to get a black hole here after this White, so we're going to have to reveil, which would, I think, work out perfectly here because I think Cecil's turn comes up next, and then you can get another nuke off with Rydia. Oh, I was wrong. Rydia's turn came up next, and that's not exactly what you want. You could precast a White here on Cecil if Rose's turn came up next, but no, Cecil's turn comes up, so...
it's not going to matter, but I think I would have popped a life pot on Porum or Edge with Rydia's turn instead of parrying. It's just a little bit faster in action and gets her back into queue faster, but I don't think it's really going to make a difference.
Maybe we get I don't know if our runners ever found a kamikaze, but maybe we can get some swag kamikaze kill. Go for the reflect kamikaze, or the nuke
it looks like we're just going for nuke kill. GG's to second place, Saradin.
Yeah, GG's indeed, giving us the full experience, and we will see if we can get Saradin in to talk about this wonderful seed that Solaris rolled. Meanwhile, while we are waiting on Saradin, oh no, there's Saradin, very timely, and GG to you, Saradin.
GG, Saradin.
Thanks.
Your thoughts on the seed in general? We'll let you just kind of open things up.
That was kind of a mess. Hook Root was pretty rude. I had wished that I had kept the spoon that I darted at Val to throw at elements. I had figured that getting rid of Val was going to save the most time in the long run, but that turned out not to be the case.
If it makes you feel better, I agreed with that play. I don't know if that does or doesn't, but I thought that was very heads up.
You were torn in the booth over whether or not that was the correct play.
Yeah, it was close. So then I ended up having to go to Zot and get some more experience and pull that Mazmune out of the trap chest in Evelyn, and that was enough to get through there. I just felt like I was kind of behind from that point on for the rest of the seed, which was why I was taking some of the weird choices near the end. It's like, well, if it's behind Sheila 1, I probably have lost already, so let's go check Giant, let's go check Package Boss, and see if we can snipe a Wyvern there, and didn't end up working out that way.
Yeah, and you, I believe, know by now from the post-race chatter that you both put on a heck of a show, largely because you both faded that Sheila won for the better part of 2 hours, and it led to some amazing racing between the two of you.
Yeah. It was a conscious decision, and it just didn't pay off this time. So, see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of tomorrow, you are now 1-1. That happy little 1-game cushion no longer available. Do you change anything up? Do you have any special plans, any super secret tech that you wouldn't tell us about but you have available? What's kind of your thoughts going into that game 3?
Nothing really that special. Just kind of take the seed as it comes.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. Who are you looking forward to? Who do you want as your hero in tomorrow's seed?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think I'm okay with most of them. I played a bunch of the qualifiers, so I got a pretty good spread on that. It'd be kind of fun to see a Foo, but we'll see what happens.
All right, sounds like you're pretty comfortable with whatever comes in.
Yeah, well, as far as your party composition was concerned and what you decided to do, you went with a number of sirens. You stopped your grind. We thought this might happen at Cure 4 for Rosa. Was that a conscious decision as well? You saw that Cure 4, you said, I'm good, I've got this edge, I can get through anything, and kind of leverage that?
Yeah, exactly. I figured I was going to have to do some bosses for experience anyway. It might have been a bit faster to keep going on the sirens, because Rydia didn't get nuke until pretty late, and that would have sped things up a bit. But, I was figuring I would run into stuff sooner than I did.
Gotcha. Definitely makes sense. Yeah, well, that's kind of all the questions I got for you. Sorbius, do you have anything else for Saradin this evening?
No, GG's again. You won yesterday, Mike won today. It's a coin flip for tomorrow. I'm excited for a very exciting race.
Should be a good time.
All right, well, thank you again, Saradin. GG's to Saradin, our second place runner this evening. But our runners, again, 40th and 41st seed, as even as it gets in this tournament, going to do battle tomorrow, we are told at 1 p.m. Eastern. So a little bit of a Saturday matinee for everybody. Get your racing pants on and your racing boots on and whatever you have for racing, because it's going to be going on all day tomorrow, and I am here for it personally.
I think it's hats that people wear to races mostly.
Well, I'll have a mint julep to go with that hat for that Saturday Derby.
Cheers.
But that is going to do it for us this evening for the Free Enterprise action. No raid target this evening, so we're going to let y'all mosey on to whatever stream or viewing activity you would like to do from this point on. Again, huge GG's to both of our runners, Mike, and Saradin. Amazing race this evening. They made it very interesting and very appetizing to watch. Huge shout outs to our behind the scenes folks, Solaris doing the restream and to Lamia Harp doing the tracking. Huge shout outs to, again, our runners. Give them a follow if you have not already. If you want more entertaining races, that's the place to go. And then Sorbius, my friend, GG's to you in the comms booth. I feel like you are a natural at this, sir.
Thanks. I've been streaming a lot more recently, and I think that definitely has helped.
Excellent. Well, with that, y'all, we are going to let y'all go on your merry way. Again, thank you to everybody. Wherever you do go, try to avoid the spoilers. But everyone, stay healthy, stay blessed, have a great evening, be good to one another, and take care, y'all.
Okay, bye.